Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, shloka 36 and 37. They are interconnected. Therefore, we will read them together. Sukham tvidanim trividham शृणु मे भरतर्षभ अभ्यासाद्रमते यत्र दुःखान्तञ्च निगच्छति यत्तदग्रे विषमिव परिणामे मृतोपमम् तत्सुखं सात्विकं प्रोक्तम् आत्मबुद्धिप्रसादजम्. Bhagavan is classifying certain entities into threefold. We have already seen jnana, karma, karta, buddhi and dhriti. Now he is talking about sukha. There are three types of sukha: sattvika sukha, rajasa sukha and tamasa sukha. Among all these, Bhagavan also indicates us what is heya and what is upadeya. Heya means that which should be given up, that should be avoided. And upadeya means that which should be taken up with effort. Among all these, for a mumukshu, all that is sattvika is upadeya. It should be accepted. It should be worked for. It should be chosen. And all that is rajasika and tamasika is heya. It should be given up, avoided. It is also indicated in while discussing every entity. The same thing will be mentioned regarding sukha also. Which sukha is heya and which sukha is upadeya. Sukham tvidanim trividham shृणु मे भरतर्षभ. Idanim, now. Trividham sukham, three types of sukha. Me shृणु, please listen from me. Bharatarshava, Bhagavan is addressing Arjuna. He Bharatarshava, Bharatanam Rishabha Bharatarshavaha. Rishabha literally means bull. Therefore, if we translate literally, it will mean bull among Bharatas, bull among the descendants of Bharata. It is an expression in Sanskrit. A prominent person is called Rishabha. So Bharata Rishabha means a prominent person among the descendants of Bharata. The greatest among the descendants of Bharata. Hey Bharatarshabha, I am going to tell you about 3 types of Sukha. Please listen to me carefully. Now he talks about Sattvika Sukha. What is Sattvika Sukha? It is the Sukha born of Atma Jnana. The Sukha which is a result of self-knowledge. Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. See Shloka 37, last word. Atma Buddhi Prasadajam Sukham. Atma Buddhi means Atma Jnana. Self-knowledge. The Atma Jnana gives rise to a Sukha. Just having Atma Jnana is not enough. There can be a shaky Atma Jnana. Many people listen to Vedanta for many years and they understand Vedanta also, yet they don't find Sukha. They don't discover the inner happiness. Therefore, Krishna does not say Atma Buddhijam Sukham. Instead, he adds a word in between, Atma Buddhi Prasadajam Sukham. The Sukha becomes visible when the Atma Jnana stabilizes in the mind. When the Atma Jnana becomes steady in the mind. Dridha Atma Jnana. Well assimilated Atma Jnana. That is when you see this happiness. Throughout Gita, Bhagavan has been talking about this happiness. Even in chapter 2, Atmanyev Atmana Tushtaha. A jnani is satisfied within himself. He finds satisfaction within himself. That is Sattvika Sukha. And this Sukha is visible when the Atma Jnana stabilizes in the mind. When will Atma Jnana stabilize? When will Atma Jnana become steady? It does not happen by itself. You need to make effort. Therefore, abhyasad ramate yatra. See the first word of Shloka 36. Abhyasad ramate yatra. You need abhyasa. Abhyasa literally means repetition. Repeated effort. Patanjali says, Satu dirghakala nairantarya sakkara sevito dridha bhumihi. One should do sadhana regularly, consistently, with the commitment for a length of time. Dirghakala, for a long time. It does not happen in 1 day or 2 days. One day I listen to Vedanta, or 10 days I listen to Vedanta, I will not get Sattvika Sukha. Dirghakala, Nairantarya, consistently. And a satkara, with the commitment. With the commitment, you do the sadhana, you do shravana, manana, nididhyasana. Then in due course of time, you start enjoying ramate yatra. You start reveling in this happiness, reveling in sattvika sukha. This abhyasa is not interesting in the beginning. In the beginning, it feels like a torture. Why I should listen to Bhagavad Gita every day? Why I should do sadhana every day? It is like a torture. Therefore, Krishna says, Yattad agre vishamiva. First line of Shloka 37. Yattad agre vishamiva. Initially, it is like visha. To begin with, agre, to begin with, it is like a visha, like poison, not interesting, not tasty. Instead, it is painful. No pain, no gain. It is very much true in the case of Sattvika Sukha. Because you need to discipline yourself, leading a disciplined life, sacrificing so many pleasures, and engaging in sadhana, making effort in the direction of sadhana, it is not always inspiring, not always interesting. It is more perspiration than inspiration. Therefore, agre vishamiva. That is why many people give it up. Even if they start, after 1 week or 2 weeks, they give up. I am not getting anything. It is not interesting. They give up. Rare few people persist, knowing that now it may not be interesting, but I will find the result later on. To persist in this sadhana, to persist in the path of sadhana, one should have great shraddha. I will find it in due course of time. The sattvika sukha. Then they persist. They continue doing their sadhana. And after a while, for some people it may be 6 months, for some people several years. We don't know how long it will take even to find the first rays of sattvika sukha. But one day or another, he will definitely find the rays of sattvika sukha. Then it is like amrita. Pariname amritopamam. Sattvika sukha is like amrita. In its result, in the long run, it is like amrita. Not immediately. Pariname amritopamam. Why it is like amrita? Because of 2 reasons. Number 1, sattvika sukha is unsurpassable and permanent. Unlike the other 2 sukhas, this sukha is unsurpassable and it is lasting, permanent. Once you get it, you are not going to lose it. It is going to stay. It is reason number 1. Reason number 2 is given in this shloka. Dukkhantancha nigacchati. Shloka 36. Sattvika sukha puts an end to all dukkha. The person becomes free from samsara when the sattvika sukha dawns. Therefore, it is amritopamam. It is like amrita. Therefore, sattvika sukha is upadeya. It should be chosen and it should be worked for. Now, Rajasa Sukha, Shloka 38. Vishayendriya Sanyogat Yattadagre Mritopamam Pariname Vishamiva Tatsukham Rajasam Smritam. Rajasa Sukha is Vishayendriya Sanyogat Jatam Sukham. We have to supply Vishayendriya Sanyogat Jatam Sukham. The Sukha born of Vishaya Indriya Sanyoga. Vishaya means a sense object. Indriya, senses. The happiness, the pleasure born of contact between sense object and senses. In short, all sense pleasures are born of Sattvika Sukha, or Rajasa Sukha. And we have to add one more thing. Krishna does not mention it here. The sense pleasures which are in keeping with the dharma. The sense pleasures that do not forego dharma. It should be understood. Dharma aviruddha Vishaya Sukha is Rajasa Sukha. Vishayendriya Sanyogat Jatam Sukham. Since it is Dharma aviruddha, it is okay for a person who is not interested in moksha. If you are not a mumukshu, you are not very serious about moksha, Rajasa Sukha is okay. But if you are a mumukshu, even Rajasa Sukha is heya, because it will cause distraction in the pursuit of moksha. Yattad agre amritopamam. Initially, it is like amrita. Agre, to begin with, in the beginning. Amritopamam. It is like amrita. It is very tasty, very interesting. When you are enjoying the sense pleasure, it is very interesting. But in the long run, it is painful. Pariname vishamiva. In parinama, in its consequence, in its after effect, it is like a visha. It is painful. It is dukkha. Initially it is sukha. But in the end, it is dukkha. The sense pleasures are associated with many dukkhas. Many forms of physical as well as mental pains. Patanjali talks of three types of dukkha associated with the material pleasure. Parinama dukkha, tapa dukkha, and samskara dukkha. Parinama dukkha. It is the dukkha born of the wear and tear, loss, for example, loss of money. If I have to enjoy a luxury car, I have to spend lakhs of money and I make a loan, loss of money. It is one form of parinama dukkha. Likewise, loss of physical health. I eat spicy food and I enjoy spicy food. After some time, I suffer acidity. I eat shamelessly and suffer silently. Loss of physical health. Likewise, there is a loss in the mind also. One may lose the mental energy and mental stability. For example, if I watch a movie for 2 hours, what happens after I watch the movie? My mind has become restless. It leaves a restlessness in the mind. The mind has lost its focus, at least for a while. So there is loss of concentration, loss of mental energy. It is also parinama dukkha. Then tapa dukkha. It is the worry and fear associated with any sense object. You can see this very clearly with the people holding high positions in the government. This gentleman has become a prime minister. How long is he happy? Even during his term, he has to face many forms of worries, many forms of fears. And at the end of the term, when the election approaches, he is very much in fear. Will I win the next election? What will happen if I lose the next election? I will again become an ordinary person. After enjoying a high position, it is difficult to live as an ordinary person. So, worries and fears associated with dukkha, associated with the sense pleasure, is a tapa dukkha. Then the third dukkha is a samskara dukkha. Any enjoyment leaves a samskara in our mind. If I eat a rasgulla, it is a very pleasurable experience eating rasgulla. The pleasurable experience leaves a samskara, leaves an imprint, an impression in my mind, and it stays subtly. And after some time, the samskara plays off. Once again, I get a desire to eat rasgulla because yesterday I enjoyed rasgulla. I want to get the same kind of enjoyment once again. The samskara adds to my desire for enjoyment. It does not put an end to my desires. It increases my desires. Any form of material enjoyment increases the desire. Therefore, the desires cannot be gratified. The desires cannot be removed with gratification. The more you gratify the desires, they become stronger and stronger. And it becomes difficult to fulfill. When a desire remains unfulfilled, it is a dukkha. It is a pain. That is samskara dukkha. There is a story of Yayati. Yayati lost his youth because of a shapa by Shukracharya. Then he exchanges his old age with one of his sons, Puru. In olden days, they could perhaps exchange their age also with a special power. We don't know how he exchanged. So Yayati takes youth from Puru, and in exchange he gives his old age back to Puru, and he becomes young once again. And then he enjoys youthful life for over 1,000 years. Even after 1,000 years of enjoying the life, Yayati is not satisfied. This story occurs in Mahabharata, Adi Parva. And then Yayati makes a statement न जातु कामः कामानाम् उपभोगेन शाम्यति हविषा कृष्णवर्त्मेव भूय एवाभिवर्धते. Desires cannot be quenched by gratification. The more you feed the desire, it increases like a fire. Gratification of a desire is like adding fire to the desire. There is no end. The more you add fuel, the fire increases in size. It grows and grows. The same thing is true with the desires. Today, I bought one dress, one shirt. I enjoy. Tomorrow I get another shirt, newer and newer shirts. That is why many people have their wardrobes full of shirts and dress. One wardrobe is not enough. Two wardrobes not enough. They keep on accumulating. No end. Then there is no place to keep shirt. So, samskara dukkha. Thus, there are three dukkhas. Rajasa sukha is dukkha in the long run. That is why it is heya. It should be avoided, especially by a mumukshu. Tatsukham rajasam pariname vishamiva tatsukham rajasam smritam. That kind of sukha is rajasa sukha. Now tamasa sukha. Yadagre chanubandhe cha sukham mohanamaatmanaha nidralasya pramadotham tattamasamudahritam. Nidralasya pramadotham sukham. Tamasa sukha. It is born of nidra, alasya and pramada. The sukha you derive from nidra, sleep, is tamasa sukha. Now naturally a question arises, then should we not do nidra? Should we not sleep? Please remember what Krishna had said in chapter 6. Yukta swapnavabodhasya. One should sleep moderately. One should not sleep too much, and one should not sleep too less also. The body needs adequate sleep. Therefore, adequate sleep And the sukha born of adequate sleep, the regular sleep, it is not intended here. At least it is not intended as heya. Then what Krishna intends as a heya, as something which should be given up? Number one, it is excessive sleep, too much of sleep. And irregular sleep. Nowadays, people sleep even during daytime. They wake up at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. That is intended. It is tamasa sukha. Excessive and untimed and indisciplined sleep. Number two, all forms of intoxications are also like sleep. In sleep, you are oblivious of the surroundings. You are not in touch with the reality. And the same thing happens when a person is intoxicated by any substance, maybe alcohol or any drugs. You become oblivious of the reality, not in touch with the reality. And then you get a happiness. Then you get a pleasure. Therefore, all pleasures born of any intoxicating substance is a tamasa. Therefore, it should be eschewed. Alasya, laziness. Because of laziness, people don't do what they are supposed to do. Not performing what one is supposed to do because of laziness. And then the person might take pride. I didn't do it. Someone else did. People take pride in not performing their duty sometimes. It is tamasa sukha. Because non-performance of one's duties will incur a special type of papa called pratyavaya. Not performing sandhyavandanam, not performing japa, which you are intended to do, you are supposed to do, or not performing the duty of a mother or a father, duty of a husband or wife. Because of laziness. Then pramada. Pramada is violation of dharma because of indifference to dharma. People tell lies. Even the Vedanta students sometimes tell lies. It is not that people don't know that they should not tell lies. Then why do they tell lies? Because of indifference. They don't care for the values. They don't have value for the values. Being indifferent to the values, being indifferent to the dharma, you violate dharma. It is pramada. So after telling a lie, the person proudly says, see, I told a lie and I fooled a person. It is a tamasa sukha. Temporarily, you are happy. See, I told a lie. I successfully told a lie. It is tamasa sukha. So tamasa sukha is all pleasure that is born of adharma, violation of dharma. Nidra, alasya and pramada. In all these you find a violation of dharma. Agre cha anubandhe cha atmanaha mohanam. In the beginning as well as at the end, it is delusive in nature. Agre cha, in the beginning, anubandhe cha, in the end, at the end. It is mohanam, atmanaha mohanam. It deludes the mind. Atma means mind in this context. Mohanam, deluding, delusive. It causes aviveka. Even to begin with, there was some aviveka. The person begins with the aviveka. That is why he ends up pursuing tamasa sukha. If the viveka is strong, one will never go for tamasa sukha. Because of some aviveka, he goes for a tamasa sukha. And once he enjoys tamasa sukha, the aviveka increases. He becomes a bigger aviveki. The mind loses its ability to understand the right and wrong. Therefore, mohanam, it deludes the mind. It begins with the delusion and ends in greater delusion. Tat tamasa mudahratam. It is tamasa sukha. न तदस्ति पृथिव्यां वा दिवि देवेषु वा पुनः सत्त्वं प्रकृतिजैर्मुक्तं यदेभिः स्यात् त्रिभिर्गुणैः. Krishna concludes the classification of various things into Sattvika, etc. by extending the same principle to everything in this earth, everything in the world, everything in the universe consists of three gunas. Therefore, everything can be classified into three based on the predominance of a given guna. From this, we have to understand two things. In everything, we have to choose sattva, sattvika, and avoid rajasa and tamasa as mumukshus. Whether it is food or whether it is entertainment or any other thing, go for sattva as much as possible. Sattvika is upadeya and the others are heya. Number two, second thing that we have to understand. Everything in the universe comprises of three gunas. It implies that everything in the universe is anatma, because atma is free from three gunas. All that comprises of three gunas is anatma. Whether it is a jnana or karma or any factor associated with the karma, it is anatma. Therefore, we should not recognize any of the three gunas as real. All three gunas are mithya. Prithivyam, see the verse, Prithivyam, on this earth, Divi Deveshu va, or in Divi, in Duloka, in Swarga, Deveshu, in the Swarga there are Devatas. In this world as well as in the other world, all are made of three gunas. Prakrtijaihi ebhihi tribhihi gunaihi muktam yat sattvam tat na asti. Prakrtijaihi ebhihi tribhihi gunaihi muktam. What is free from these three gunas? Prakritijaihi. The three gunas are there in the Prakriti. Prakriti means Maya, the cause of the universe. It is made of three gunas. Therefore, the effects of the Prakriti are also made of three gunas. Ebhihi tribhihi gunaihi. These three gunas, muktam, free from them, yat sattvam, any entity, any object, tat na asti, it does not exist. Everything is three gunas. Everything is made of three gunas. Sometimes sattva is predominant, sometimes rajas is predominant, and sometimes tamas is predominant. Since everything is composed of three gunas, it is anatma, it is mithya. Only one thing is free from three guna, it is atma, yourself, not your body, not your mind, not your senses, you, the atma. It is triguna atita, free from three gunas. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.